As soon as the Blazers drafted Scoot Henderson, we knew Damian Lillard was on his way out from the Blazers officially. He wasn't going to stick around, play with this young team. He decided, I want to win a ring. I want to go to Miami, though. And if you don't trade me to Miami, we heard all of the noise with his agent saying if he goes to any other team than Miami, don't bother trading for him because I'm not going to show up to training camp. And the NBA said, knock it off. This isn't how we do business in the NBA. We need a fair shot. And then we had Jimmy Butler saying the Bucks need to be looked into for tampering, basically whining after Damian Lillard gets traded to the Bucks. And credit to the Blazers because they traded him to the Milwaukee Bucks. And first of all, the fact that you got Jrue Holiday instead of Chris Middleton, that was very impressive because I think Chris Middleton is someone who hasn't been quite the Chris Middleton from the NBA Finals or the past few years that he has been for the Milwaukee Bucks. He's been showing his age a little bit in the playoffs, not the same on-ball defender, and then his hamstrings have been a question mark going into the season. So you got Jrue Holiday, you got the Phoenix Suns involved, and you're able to swap Nurkic for DeAndre Ayton. DeAndre Ayton already calling himself dominating going into this year. So we have some expectations going in there. And then how many first round picks did they acquire from these two trades?
So they received Jrue Holiday, DeAndre Ayton, Kamara, and then they got 3 picks from the Bucks, one of which they have a 2029 unprotected pick, probably when they're rebuilding. And then they have 2 pick swaps in 28 and 29. They traded Jrue Holiday. They got Robert Williams, Malcolm Brogdon, and 2 firsts from the Celtics in return for that. So essentially, their whole haul, they got DeAndre Ayton, Robert Williams, Malcolm Brogdon, who they'll soon trade, 5 first-round picks, and then Tumani Kamara, who came out of the draft this year.
Yeah, so you get all of those players on the Portland Trailblazers. I was super impressed because for the Blazers, I was like, you couldn't have flipped Tyler Hero for Robert Williams and Malcolm Brogdon. So the fact that they were able to send him to the Bucks, Damian Lillard, that was an absolute shock, first of all. So the fact that you were able to get Jrue Holiday, you were able to get Robert Williams on this team, and now you have a legitimate 1-2 punch in your front court with DeAndre Ayton and Robert Williams. Robert Williams isn't the most reliable guy injury-wise, so he'll probably be coming off the bench, but you have a lot of young talent, acquired a lot of draft capital, so credit for the Portland Trailblazers for sticking to their guns this year, not trading for Tyler Hero. Absolute failure by Miami, not getting Kevin Durant, not getting Bradley Beal, not getting Donovan Mitchell, not getting Damian Lillard. Kind of the same problem the Celtics had when Danny Ainge was the GM, and they were seemingly never able to pull the trigger and get that number 1 star. And for the Bucks, you trade for Damian Lillard, you get Jrue Holiday, and immediately I was like, the Celtics need to get Jrue Holiday stat, because if they do that, there's a chance that they could benefit more than anyone from this Damian Lillard trade. So what are your thoughts, first of all, on Damian Lillard going to the Bucks, and how much better, if any, do you think he makes them?
I think he definitely makes them better. I think they have that. There's more of a scoring. You have someone who can kind of take the load off of Giannis, not having to be that offensive presence that he's been. So I think Dame will definitely be nice for them. They have better shooting now, so they'll definitely be better. Now, how much better did they get? You lose Jrue Holiday, which, I feel like the Bucks' identity the last few years has been tough defense, Giannis dominating the paint. And so you lose that a little bit with Jrue Holiday, who can match up with just about anybody in the league, can match up with Tatum, can match up with Dame Lillard. So losing Jrue Holiday, I think, is a big loss for them. They also lost some key role players in that trade with they also lost Grayson Allen, who was a shooter for him as well. So I do think they are definitely better, and they should be favorites. But I think they're kind of in a similar position as they were before, but now they have more firepower. So be that as you may, how are they going to fill out that roster now that they lost a few of their players? And then for the Trailblazers, I really liked what they got in return for Dame. Not only the first round picks, which is kind of the custom for a rebuilding team, but you still have a team that can still compete for that play-in tournament as well. You have a good front court, I think. DeAndre Ayton, say what you will about him in the playoffs, but in the regular season, he's an all-star. He's a baller. And then Robert Williams, can he elevate his game with the Trailblazers now that he's probably a starter? You get Scoot Henderson and some other guys to play in the backcourt with him. So I really like what the Trailblazers got. And then the Celtics going out after they had this big move, the Bucks getting Damian Lillard. They're like, you know what? We already have to get rid of Brogdon. We'll throw in Robert Williams. We hate to see it. We lose a key player, but really a nice trade for the Celtics. They go out and get Jrue Holiday. I think that could be their missing piece for them, as they now have Tatum, Brown, Jrue Holiday. And the way they've kind of shuffled the deck this offseason, masterclass by Brad Stevens.
Yeah, masterclass. And Brad Stevens is an absolute mad lad. Like, talk about the absolute opposite GM that Danny Ainge has been. Brad Stevens has stepped back into the front office as being the head coach. We're like, okay, let's see where this goes. But he hasn't been afraid to pull the trigger. It seemed like Malcolm Brogdon wasn't happy that Celtics signed him, acquire him last offseason, and they're trying to trade him instead of Marcus Smart. Ended up trading Smart and Brogdon this offseason, getting Kristaps Porzingis. So really, the Celtics are relying on the health of Kristaps Porzingis. But for the Bucks, I think Damian Lillard and Giannis are probably the most dynamic duo in the NBA, where if you run into a Golden State Warriors, finally Dame feels like he has the stacked deck on his side, and Steph Curry will be like, it's unfair. I have to go up against Brook Lopez, Giannis, Chris Middleton, and Damian Lillard raining threes. And I think this will be good because Giannis will be able to focus on defense. I think you take a step back, though, defensively, because because Jrue Holiday was really your Tatum stopper. If anyone was giving Jason Tatum trouble, it's been Jimmy Butler and Jrue Holiday. Jrue Holiday was the one guarding Jaylen Brown and Jason Tatum and giving them hell over the past few years. So I think for the Celtics, you're relieved to have that guy on your side. And then for the Bucks, now you just have to outscore everybody, because I think with Jrue Holiday, you lose pretty much your best on-ball defender. I don't think Pat Connaughton is going to be that lockdown defensive player. So teams are going to be able to put up points, but it's going to be, can the Bucks outpace them, and can Giannis and Brook Lopez step up in the playoffs and make enough plays on defense where Giannis feels like he has to do everything on the offensive end the past few years, and he has to do everything on the defensive end. I think Giannis will be fine deferring to Damian Lillard. I think Dame wants to be the best player on a team. So I think the offense is really going to start with Dame, and then Giannis will be able to get his, and he'll finally have a player that can open up the floor for him, go out there and get 30 points. I'd be crazy to say that the Bucks aren't better with Damian Lillard than Jrue Holiday, because Dame is someone who has overachieved with the amount of talent he's had in Portland, got to a conference championship, has knocked out a team like James Harden, knocked out the Paul George Thunder in 6 games, hitting that deep three in Paul George's face and sending them home with the famous bye-bye that he has. He has Dame time. So I think the Bucks should be better than every single team except for the Boston Celtics. With the Celtics, you now have Jrue Holiday. Celtics fans have been like, we don't have a point guard. We just need someone who's gritty, is going to be able to facilitate the ball, and can actually hit shots. Well, Jrue Holiday is a great facilitator. He's someone who can actually play point guard, and he can guard someone like Jimmy Butler. He can guard someone like Damian Lillard. He can guard Middleton, and he can take Giannis for a few steps at a time. So now you have Derek White, who made an all defensive team, who is number 1 in blocks at the guard position, who plays well in spots and can score and fill up the stat sheet. So now you have Dame with the Bucks, and you have Derek White and Jrue Holiday in the backcourt. So interested to see how these teams match up, but I do think now the Celtics are head and shoulders above the Heat with Jrue Holiday. He gives them the edge, and he's one of those players you bring in. He's won a championship. He has the toughness, and he's a point guard who I trust to take the last shot. If he's taking the same shots at the end of the game instead of Marcus Smart, I would much rather have it be Jrue Holiday with the ball in his hands than Smart, because I know he's going to make the right play, where Marcus Smart always saw himself as the leader of this team. With Jrue Holiday, I'm fine with him being the tough, gritty leader of this team. He's a better fit than Kemba was. He's a better fit than Kyrie was. He actually adds toughness and defense to that team, where I feel like Marcus Smart lost a step on defense the past few years versus Miami, where a lot of guys were just dribbling by him. So defensively, now that we have Porzingis, Horford, Tatum, and Jaylen Brown doesn't need to be a ball handler anymore. I think this is a huge step forward with the Celtics if they can trade some picks to fill out that bench.